Virgo, great, fantastic, good to see you. Please come on in and make yourself comfortable. I've got some sad news. I've just got back home from a hospice. I was asked by a family to come in and provide some words of comfort and encouragement to a lady who was about to cross over. And on the way back, I heard, I was called and said that she had done, so I wish her all the best for the next stage of her journey and in the next life. And who knows, she may well be here, I hope so, to spend some time with us during this reading. She's certainly welcome, and I'd be very grateful if she were maybe to put some good energy your way, which I'm sure she shall do. Let's get some things underway, shall we? First of all, let me put I'm going to use the hands of the Enterer. It's a shamanistic practice that I use that engages spirit. And that does the trick, puts the spirit into things. Now we are ready to do what is necessary for you. This deck I'm using is a deck painted by a young San Francisco lady, a woman by the name of Eden Gallanter. She calls the deck the Cheminée deck. And I always like to provide some encouragement and a plug for artists. They often provide such joy to us, and yet for such little financial return. And so wish her all the best. I must say I have extremely good results from this deck. The energy that comes up from the imagery for me is extraordinary. And there's the Two of Cups. That's good for you. I get very, very good results using this. It just seems to sync with my spirit, the imagery that comes through in it, and it invokes the consciousness, plural, that exists on the other side. So let's see what there is. Incidentally, that was Temperance. Look, the imagery is something which you've probably not come across before. Well, I'm sure you haven't come across before. There's the Nine of Staves. It's actually quite beguiling, I think. The Four of Staves, as Eden Gallanter refers to it as. And the Seven of Staves. Good Lord, the 9, the 4, and a lot of fire energy coming for you. Okay, as is our usual practice, why don't we come sit down here next to me, okay, and have a look at the imagery on these cards, and I'll do the reading for you. All right, here we go. Wow, you have a lot of fire energy. The 4, the 7, the 9 of Wands, the 2 of Cups. I'm going to look at this Major Arcana card first. And the reason why I'm doing that is because sitting in the position that it's in, it clearly has a message for you for this month. Here we have a woman who is herself winged, flying through the air, holding a fish which itself is winged. And you'll notice that she is bare-breasted, which says to me that she has a degree of openness to the community, openness to the outside world around her. This fish, pointing in different directions, suggests to me that it is a link between your subconscious mind and your higher mind, almost the astral realm. And I think we might see that astral realm and spiritual realm when we get to this card down here, but let's not prejudge matters. First of all, here she is, the daughter of the reconcilers, the bringer forth of life. There is a great deal of Sagittarius energy around here, so I would be assuming that you're going to have something to do with a Sagittarian during this period. This talks to me of a combination of forces, realization that you will be realizing something that I think for some time had been niggling away at you, that for some time you'd been thinking, what is this? I've just got this feeling that's sitting underneath me that's just pushing against the side of my mind, and then all of a sudden, snap, it will become apparent to you. I think what also is going to be occurring is that You will be making, I think, quite an accurate assessment of the situation around you during this period, and having made that assessment, that accurate assessment, you're then going to take action to go and bring forth the things that you need to do. I think also that it signifies to me that there's going to be some success for you after what may be considered to be something of quite elaborate dealings for some time. Now, it could also be the case, I think, I'm getting a feeling here that you might be escaping from something, you might be being let off something, you may get out of something or get out of having to do something. And that is going to be good news for you, because I get the energy around here that it's something that you probably didn't want to do or have to face, and as it turns out, you have the chance here to escape from it. Let me bring these cards closer together so you can see them. So there's going to be an escape, a let-off that's there. I think what we can also say is that you will learn to bring about balance and moderation in your life. So be patient and let things just develop at their natural pace. Do some self-evaluation and re-examination of your life's priorities. Look, I think this is a good thing to do at this time of year, because we do have the New Year starting in January. And this is something I think that you will be going through. You'll be saying, what do I want to achieve for the year ahead? So that you hit the ground running when January comes about. And I think that you'll be working from a place of harmony, really. It's quite a lot of harmony in this energy that's coming here. You're seeking a much greater balance between your inner self and your outer self, and searching perhaps for a higher meaning or a purpose for your life. And I think that this is going to become apparent to you. And you might experience during this time a clash between your habits and your new vision. Just trust your inner self is what I say. I am uplifted in your heart. My every instinct has become the echo of your heartbeat. My life dances to the rhythm of your pulse. I think what you might also do is the process that I've got is you kind of going inside yourself in the same way that a coal miner goes deep into the earth, or a gold miner goes deep into the earth. Yes, it's more of a gold miner I'm getting. Deep down into the earth, and there, by purifying what is found, you discover the hidden nugget of gold. And that hidden nugget of gold is you, your true purpose, your true reason, your true self. The feeling that you're going to live according to your own values. Yeah, I'd have these thoughts in mind during this time, and it is, I surrender to the transforming powers of the divine. I am an open channel for creative energy. I equally value the light and dark within my own nature. I am a well-integrated person. Because of everybody in the zodiac, that is certainly the case for you. Where shall we go next? Well, why don't we go here to this Two of Cups. Now, this is a particularly good energy, and it's great where it's placed. You recall it's placed at the top here. Now, here we have a couple of figures, don't we, that, well, what do they appear to be? They appear to be a man and a woman, but look, this is a tradition, I suppose, and the gay and lesbian community can make the necessary adjustment because it applies equally. Here we have people who are really kind of looking at one another, and you almost get the sense that they are about to merge, don't you? Almost about to merge. I kind of have the feeling that this figure here, this winged, almost egg-like feature, is reminiscent of what they call the Orphic egg, which in ancient tradition was the egg which sat upon the primordial sea and from which all life in the universe sprang. And variations of that motif are to be found in Eastern philosophy and religion, as well as Western philosophy and religion. The Lord of Love, I call this card. It is Venus in the first decan of Cancer. You know, that 21st of June to the 1st of July. This really exemplifies, I think, that Venus in Cancer, the benefit of you having drawn this card. Because Venus is the most receptive of planets, and it is the planet of love and beauty and creativity. And Cancer is about nurturing, about comfort, about support and healing. So I see here that with Venus in Cancer, there is receptive love, happy relationships, and emotional exchange. Cancer is more than any other sign a receptive sign, and also the house of the moon. And in Cancer, in ordinary astrology, Jupiter is exalted, and Jupiter is about good luck and good fortune, and about expansion and growth. So altogether, these are very friendly planets, and they bode very well for you for this period. Do you know, I'm really getting thoughts around here of, you're going to hear about marriage. We're going to hear about marriage proposals. It can be for those who are unattached, the beginning of a very harmonious relationship. For those who are in partnered relationships now, I think that this is for you going to be a time of extension and a deepening of that relationship. But I also see in here the very significant potential for the development of relationships of a non-romantic nature, that is, of friendships and of workplace relations and of third-party relationships, such as with customers and suppliers. I think this is a very good time for people who are involved in sales or retail. It's a very good time for people who are involved in education. It's a very good time for people who are involved in healthcare. It's a very good time for people who are involved in community service or community-facing operations. I think that this also speaks to me of a love that is both special and equal. You'll be able to give and receive love in equal measure. And I think it can also refer to a very deep, let me pull this out so we can see it in relation to the other cards. It speaks of a deep, significant relationship or a family tie that you will be experiencing. There could be an interest, a work or a hobby, or some other form of creativity that you have a passion for and which balances out your emotional needs, is what I'm thinking. Now, the number 2, for me, mystically, is ruled by Neptune. And Neptune, that watery planet, breaks down boundaries. And remember that Neptune has the second strongest gravitational pull in the solar system after Jupiter. So this card here, this 2, being so close to the ace, it just has the ace before it. I think this energy is happening now, or it is imminent. It is imminent. So Venus, beauty and balance in Cancer, deep emotional relationships and family is what I'm getting for you. Really great energy. I hope I get something like that. We shall have to wait to see. Let's have a look at this card now. This 4. Well, the first thing I'll say about the 4 is that from a numerological point of view, I love it because it deals with power, with strength, with stability, and with solidity. And what it does is it provides a very good foundation for things going forwards. It is also ruled mystically by the planet of Jupiter, which, as I just mentioned, has a great degree of good fortune and good luck associated with it. Now, I call this card, well, let's have a look at him. Here is a man who is, well, is he grappling with these 4 staves, or is he he's almost dancing with the 4 staves? And if you look, he's certainly in control, but it's a control which comes about as a result of grace and poise rather than by aggression. And so I think it's somebody who is in control of the environment and in control of the will. And this is what you will be during this time. Now, I call him the Lord of Perfected Work. The astrology of it for me is Venus ruling the last 10 degrees of Aries, that 10th to the 19th of April period. And as the YouTube astrologers will tell you, they'll put up their zodiac wheel. You know how it looks like a circle? And I'm getting very much associated with this color blue that's here and this green that's here. I'm getting very much the association of Venus with the planet. And Venus, as I said, is the planet in Aries, governing Aries, the 3rd decan of Aries at this time. Now, because this character is so balanced and graceful, Venus, you might recall, rules 2 signs, doesn't it? It rules Taurus and it rules Libra. But because of the grace and balance of this person, I assign in this card Venus to Libra. And the astrologers will put up their wheel and they say that, well, and as I say, it's Venus in Aries, in order for Venus to go from Libra over to Aries, it needs to travel to the diametrically opposed side of the zodiac, where they will tell you it is in detriment. Venus is in detriment in Aries, and Aries, of course, is ruled by fiery Mars. And so we would think at first glance that with Venus sitting in Aries next to Mars, and Venus is in detriment, that the news is bad. But I don't think that it is. I think actually what happens is that Venus uses her feminine charms and wiles and subdues the ordinarily aggressive Mars such that he becomes bewitched by her. And as a result, that there is an attraction between the two. There's an attraction between the fiery warrior Mars and beautiful Venus. An attraction of opposites, you might say. And so I think that during this period, you may well find that you do have an attraction to somebody who you never would have considered before. Or there may be an aspect of someone's character which you suddenly notice and you find it attractive. Now, this doesn't mean to say it's necessarily constricted only to romantic settings, but it could also be in a much broader sense. You might also find, for example, that you become attracted to a pursuit or an area of work that you never had any interest in before, and yet now you find that you actually enjoy it. And you say to yourself, how long has this been going on? I love doing this stuff. So there is this energy here, I think, where you are going to be going through the process of finding out that there is something that you had really never paid any attention to before, that during this time actually has caught your attention, and you are going to be subdued and bewitched by it. This is a green light to success, I think. It is the foundation, the first stage to completion. It could well be also setting up a new home, or perhaps moving house, or consideration of moving house, or thinking, well, actually what I might do is instead I might fix up where I live. I might do some things around where I live to beautify it. Now, this could also represent that something needs to be completed before your desire to move on to a new person or a new venture is pushed underway. You need to tie the knot, tie off any loose ends that come there. Now, this could relate to work, or it could relate to new relationships, or it could relate to a new dynamic within an existing relationship. But be confident when you go about doing that, because this energy here is saying that the activity and the way that you pursue this is going to be very favorable. Now, this can also relate to the self, where there might be one part of you wants to go in one direction, and yet another part of you might want to go in another direction. So you may have some sort of an inner turmoil, deciding, which way am I going to, what am I going to do? Because I always think it's best to concentrate your force in one area. Don't do too many things at one time, because you just risk doing all those things badly. And so I think you might be going through this process of saying, do you know what, I'm going to concentrate my energies, I'm going to decide to go and do something, and I'm going to decide to go and do it well, and you will do it well. Let's have a look at what we have here. Well, we've got the 7 and the 9. Let's look at the 7 first. Here we go, 7. Now, 7s can sometimes be quite difficult in the tarot, I've found. And yet, here we have a woman who is, she's really floating above a sea, isn't she? And do you know what, though? You look at these staves. I get the feeling that she's planted these. I also get the feeling that these things are alive. I also get the feeling that these things, not only are they alive, but they are going to sprout foliage, and that they are going to produce fruit. So what might appear to be something of a barren landscape to you with respect to some particular matter, I think what you're going to find is, with your interaction with it and the will that you bring to bear on the matter, it is actually going to produce fruit, just as I see these things producing fruit. Now, I call this girl here the Lady of Valor. It is, for me, the Mars in the last 10 degrees of Leo, 13th to the 22nd of August. So, the point that I'll make, though, is that this is the 7 of staves. Staves is fire. And this far away from the ace, the energy of the fire starts to dilute a bit. There is also the case here that numerologically the number 7 for me there's a couple of points I want to make about it, which I think you might find interesting. First of all, the association the planetary association that I have with it is that of Venus, which is about love and beauty and money, as we discussed before. And Venus operates and is associated with an area of divine emanation existing prior to the emergence of space and time from spirit, which, roughly speaking, is about putting things out there, overcoming obstacles, making sure that things aren't difficult, overcoming difficulties. It is, in a nutshell, if you want to put it that way, in a term, victory. But we have the energy of the suit of fire weakened this far down in the number 7. And the feminine energy of Venus, I think, further dilutes the strength of fire in wands. Now, Mars in Leo. Well, Mars and Leo usually sit quite well. And in another position, if this card were positioned somewhere else, I would say that Mars and Leo would sit well together. But here I think that there is, with the positioning down here, the case where that Mars and Leo, of course being a fire sign and Mars being a fire planet, I don't think that there is great harmony between the two. I don't think there's harmony. I think there's a bit of instability. And I think as a result, you might feel that it is your Mars energy, fiery Mars energy, is about the only thing that you think is keeping you going at the moment. I think you've got a lot on your plate. I think you're going to be pushing through obstacles. You see, the number 7 numerologically for me can also talk about introspection, re-examination, secrets, but also about responsibility and regaining control of things. And so I think what it is that you're going to have a lot on your plate during December, and you will think, well, okay, I am going to get things done. Now, where you have Mars in Leo ordinarily, I think that indicates someone with authority and power. But, now you will have authority and power, but you're going to need to dig deep to be able to reach into yourself and use your resources in what could for you seem to be quite a difficult time or situation. Maybe you want to make sure that you keep focus on things, unless some sort of desperation or feeling that you're sitting on a sinking ship or that you're fighting a losing battle might be underway. You know, the time of the year is such that there's a lot underway. Usually people are organising family events, friends events, there's work going on, things don't stop, and all these other things are piled on. Maybe you feel that, well, in some respects you haven't been dealt the best hand, and that things in the background don't be seeming to be going your way. And I'm just getting this sort of feeling around this yellow area here. I don't see this as being a sort of a divine light. I see it almost as a querulous, almost argumentative sort of light that's coming up behind it. This card in a relationship setting can mean that there may be some problems and you are running out of energy as to how to keep sustaining it. Or in a workplace, you might be coming to the end of your tether in relation to something. Now, I won't say anything more than that, because I think you still do have control over what's going and what's happening and what is going to go on. I think you need to remember that you should say, I express my own reality openly and honestly. Let's deal finally with this 9 of staves. Let's have a look at the 9. Well, I love the number 9. The number 9, of course, for me is associated with the moon, which is about subconscious and what lies beneath and what can be brought up. It's also a very sacred number. It always returns in upon itself. 9, 2s are 18, 1 and 8 are 9, 9 3s are 27, 2 and 7 are 9, and so on and so on. You can do that forever. And when you break down the result and add it up, you'll always come back to the number 9. Here is a woman with the snake under her, and here are her 9 staves around her head, almost as if they're a halo. Now, a halo is it's an artistic device, very popular in in the East from a long time earlier, and in Western art from, probably from about 300 AD and on, where it relates to either the uncreated divine light, if one was to take an Eastern Orthodox sort of approach, or the divinity infusing the soul, if one were to take a Catholic approach. Certainly in Buddhism and Hinduism, it's also a sign of divinity. Now, this woman floating here, for me, is the Lady of Great Strength. It is, for me, the moon ruling the second decan of Sagittarius, that 3rd to the 12th of December. So I've got the moon ruling Sagittarius, and I have the moon here in the number 9. So you have a double lunar influence in your card this month, as the moon rules both the decan of Sagittarius, as I mentioned, and it rules the number associated with the card. Now, what we say is that the moon gives you strength. The moon gives you strength. It is a period here where I think that you are, whereas other fire suit cards can often be seen, and certainly can often be seen to have fast-acting energy associated with them, this card here is a card which is about long endurance. And I think that this is following on from this card that we mentioned just prior to it. This is a card about long endurance, but it's endurance. You will be able to endure things. You will reach into yourself and discover new depths of strength and power that you never thought that you had. Now, of course, you may come across obstacles. Well, we all do, don't we, in everyday life, one form or another. Usually minor things, but they're still obstacles. But you are going to have the strength to overcome them. That's the point. And I think where this card has shown up in the center of the spread, it says that you can be reassured that you have what it takes to get by, even in times of difficulty and stress. Inner strength is going to rise up to guide you towards your goal. In this process, you're going to learn a lot more about yourself and your abilities, and you'll gain an all-round new perspective which brings you security and self-confidence. Now, pay attention to your dreams at this time, because dreams can sometimes speak. 9 is the moon. Pay attention to your dreams and what they might mean for you, and have this thought in mind. I know more and more clearly who I am. This recognition leads to the full development of my potential strength. Well, that's the way it is for you this month. There we go. December. Your December reading. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I enjoyed giving it to you. Now, don't forget, make sure you check out your 2020 yearly reading. Just search for me, Nigel 2020, in your sign, and you'll get it. I thought you were fantastic during that reading. You were outstanding, and you played your part to perfection. And really, all that remains for me to say is this, that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you next month. Until then, bye for now.